So now on the 10th module, we've finally gotten into college and talking about emerging adulthood. And so once graduating from high school, emerging adulthood is often characterized by exploring a variety of aspects of life. And attending colleges a lot of time allows younger people to explore various possible educational directions that are going to offer various occupational futures, many of which seen in college. Okay? So as far as the characteristics of college students, it is fairly overwhelming in the female. And so what we see is roughly 58% of the undergraduates attending college are women. And as far as for ethnicities, we see about 81% of Asian Americans entering college, or at least getting some level of college education. White students you see at 67%, African Americans at 56%, and Latino students at 66%. Now, most, if they do get their college education, will get that between the ages of 25 to 29 is where you can see these percentages. In other words, by the time that people are 25 to 29, the percentages that you can see on your screen there are likely. So not everybody goes right after high school. Some wait a little bit before they go back. Now, some other issues in regards to college education and the undergraduate environment. We know that women are more likely to major in education and psychology fields. In education, it's 4 times as likely that females over males will choose an education majors, and it's 3 times as likely for females to choose a psychology major over males. Across all fields, what we see is that females tend to earn 57% of postgraduate degrees. Now, this is pretty startling in the fact that that is up from 10% of all degrees in 1960s. So you see a huge increase in the amount of women who are able to obtain a college degree. Now, in general, it takes an average of about 4 to 6 years to obtain a 4-year degree. More towards the 6 years, though. Schools have obviously been making efforts to try to decrease that because that obviously adds a lot of expense and means people have to stay on campus for longer periods of time. Here's a graph of kind of college attendance, and you can see the percentage of 18 to 21-year-olds enrolled in college, and you can see how it was almost nobody but the very elite in the 1890s that ever increased, and then by the 1990s you have 60%, and we're closing on 70% here in 2015. So very encouraging in regards to that. What's not so encouraging as far as college attendance is that nearly half of college students drop out before they obtain a degree. That's been a cause of concern at a lot of state levels, and they have tied a lot of funding to the high dropout rate and trying to encourage students to be able to obtain their college degree and incentivizing universities to be able to do that. And for that, they really have to focus on trying to increasing retention rates. So some of the things that affect retention, your previous academic performance. So if you happen to doing well, odds are you'll continue not doing well academically. Ethnic backgrounds, there's certain ethnicities that have a higher dropout rate than others. And then your family SES. So not surprisingly, school and college is not a cheap endeavor, and so those who have limited means are more likely to drop out because of the money issue. And so lots of efforts have been made over the years to try to prevent that, but it still introduces quite a bit of a challenge for those wanting to go on. So schools, including Eastern, have made a lot of efforts in trying to increase retention. And some of the ways that they've done that, peer mentoring by linking up others and trying to encourage and keep track of them, and then also having special programs for first-year students or students that would be coming in with a variety of risk factors and making sure that appropriate supports are in place so that they can continue to achieve and hopefully graduate with the degree of their choosing. Now, back in the 1960s, Trow came up with 4 student subcultures that he saw and kind of typified as the type of college students that you might see in a given class. The first which of those is the collegiate example. The collegiate subculture centers around fraternities, sororities, dating, drinking, big sports events, having a lot of fun on campus. Students in this case are going to be doing enough work to get by, but they're going to resist or ignore any encouragement from faculty to go above and beyond. And the main purpose really for those with the collegiate subculture is fellowship and partying, and this tends to thrive in bigger universities compared to smaller ones. The second subculture type is vocational, and they have a much more practical view of college and their college years, and that the real purpose of college is to gain skills and degree that are going to help them get a better job. As such, they may resist professors and help, or not necessarily their help, but really trying to engage in ideas that go beyond the work requirements of that class. In other words, not learning for learning's sake, but learning for a particular designation or a particular skill set. Many times those with a vocational mindset are already working 20 to 40 hours a week to help support themselves and pay for college tuition. So you may see why their motivation would be get through college, get a job, and kind of get on with their life. The third type is the academic subculture. This is students who are drawn to the world of ideas and knowledge. They study hard, they do their assignments, they get to know their professors, and they do a lot of above and beyond, really try to engage with the ideas that are brought up in a variety of their classes. And the last subtype or subculture is the rebel subculture. These are students who are aggressively nonconformist. Rather than liking and admiring their professors, they tend to be critically detached from them, skeptical of their expertise. They may enjoy learning, but they only want to learn the material that's interesting and relevant to their lives. So they're selectively studious, good in some areas, struggle in others. So think about this, because this was come out in the 1960s, so we're talking about over 50 years later. Are these subculture types true today? Think about the students that you go to school with and in your classes. And is this the type of vibe that you get, or have things changed over time? Something to kind of think about. And in our last module, we're going to be talking about the benefits of college and even the occurrence of what's now called a gap year, and work on wrapping up the chapter.